Google sites as well. So I just have to try and spend it. I can start some contract there. Then we can migrate over. If you want to go to your main method. I have a little bit of I already have a copy. There was never issues that were done. Yeah, there was something there. What did we have a conversation about? This should be one time exercise on the website. Well, I thought it was I was kind of under the impression that it was really plus to help us catch up. That was kind of how I did it.
Secondary. Well, that's
this is what you got.
What's up, man?
Hey, bud.
Hey, good. How you doing? Not much.
So did the budget So what you're telling me is that the budget before the 2000 was 1.1, now it's 1.7 or whatever. So he would have seen, because I don't really see a big jump budget here in the budget. So I just thought that we would have seen a substantial change. Oh, look, what you done.
How are you, sir? Good to see you. How are you doing? Well, thank you. How are you, sir? Don Richards.
Stuff in the budget. And Adam, in fact,
I'm going to sit here and read the questions from our
No, I know, but I'm just saying those are the questions that we it's a lot. Figure it out. We're going to have that's one. I don't know. I think you guys
You got a minute? Yeah. You sure? Good evening. We welcome you to our board meeting. We don't want to be tardy for our own meeting. And I see it's 6 o'clock. So we welcome everybody to our board meeting. The agendas are posted around the room. And we are excited tonight for our musical presentation by Colby Sorensen from Fremont High School. Ms. Perry is with us, the principal of Fremont. We welcome her. And with that, Colby will turn the time over to you for both the introduction of what you're going to do, after which he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please.
All right, so I'm Colby Sorensen. I'm from Fremont High School. I just came from rehearsal, so I forgot to take off my holy jeans, so sorry about that. I'm going to be performing a pantomime for you guys that I did at competition about 2 years ago for theater. So feel free to enjoy it, hopefully. So, yeah, without further ado, we'll get started.
I'm gonna climb over here.
Thank you. Now, or if you would all like to rise and join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job, Colby. Let's give him another round of applause. Board, the first item on our agenda would be the consent calendar. I'd entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar. So moved by Doug, second by Bruce. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Recognitions. The E+ Team Award. Lori Rasmussen, please.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent Stevens. It is a true honor today to get to present this award. It's easy for me to talk about the curriculum department. Very deserving. So if I can get the curriculum department to come up, you can see we have Sherry Hyder is our director. She's coming. We've got Jennifer Boyer-Thurgood. She's a curriculum specialist, along with Christy Wagner and Ben Prowl. And then Kim is a teacher leader in the department, and then we have Pam Watman. So we want to welcome them on up. As they make their way up, I just want to share one statement, and aren't they beautiful, by the way? Love them. I just want to share one statement. We were flooded, right? Well, handsome, beautiful. Sorry, Ben. I want to share one statement that came in. We were flooded with responses from the schools. This was kind of a group nomination. They were mentioned and nominated by teams, the district, everybody. So kind of a unanimous winner here. But I just want to start with one statement. And this came in. It says, when I think of our curriculum department, there are a few thoughts that come to mind. One is they are a forward-thinking team. They anticipate curricular, teacher, and organizational needs way before they are evident to others. The team is invested in listening, supporting, coaching, and they do it all with respect. Another word that describes them is committed and dedicated. 2 words there. I just want to talk about that for a minute. This team has had some personal kind of things in their life that they've dealt with. And the way that they've worked through that as a team has been amazing. I won't go into detail, but they are here each and every day through all of their adversity. And they're here and they're all in. They're all in for kids each and every day. And you couldn't ask for a better team. I'm just proud to know that. It's easy to, it's like bragging about my grandkids. I could just go on. So anyway, you might be wondering about the balloons. Now I just want to give you a little heads up. We've kind of razzed Sherry just a little bit about her nifty machine there, and thus the references to the movie Up, okay? But what do the balloons in the movie Up symbolize? Now I want you to realize I took this right from the internet, so you know it has to be true. But the hot air balloons in the sky may symbolize either freedom from the problems associated with your daily existence, or the achieving of an objective or a more divine view of things. Now I want to stop and think about that. What more fitting compliment and how well it goes with this team? Because if you look at that part, freedom from the problems associated with your daily existence, teachers are inundated. They have all kinds of things coming at them, expectations, children behaviors, parents. This team of professionals provide them relief from that. The support that they give our teachers is unparalleled. And I have been around for a while, and I have been to state trainings and national trainings, and I'll tell you what, there's nobody that compares to this team. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So, back to that. You see why we're talking about Up. It's not just Sherry there. And as you look at this team, they are uplifting. They make you smile, and despite all that they go through, they're willing to jump in and help with a smile every day. The many supports, God, we could honestly go on forever, but these, and I want you to take a look at these pictures. This is pictures from one of their professional development days, but if you look at the teacher's face in that lower bottom picture, I mean, she is pretty, she isn't touched by the moment. And so they have done just an amazing job. But some of their accomplishments include math and English language arts buzz sessions where teachers come in and they can get some training. Science supports from grades 6 through 8 as they're switching curriculums. The collaborative leadership teams that they put together for all of the schools, and they're working hard on developing PLCs and all of the work that they've done with that. They did a summer English language arts training. They had 12 days of Christmas ideas that went out that gave educators, at Christmas, teachers are kind of, it's been taxing, and so there were fresh ideas that went out just to help teachers with some fun learning opportunities that they can provide for their students. Math and English language science fellows, and those are people that have been chosen across our district who are master teachers that these guys work with to then go out and provide training to groups of teachers. So we're really getting the learning out to the ranks where it needs to be. They did an ELL training for our English language learner teachers, and over 200 teachers came to those sessions. And the feedback that I saw personally was just out of this world. Training for secondary assessment and data. Many comments came in about the team being able to help principals understand all of the data that comes in and being able to make good instructional and curriculum decisions based on that data to help our kids move forward. And they even created resources in-house in lieu of a textbook, which saved the district a lot of money, and it was more personalized to what our students need here in our district. So they're an amazing resource. They've gone through a couple of adoptions, and it's been seamless. They've kind of switched the way that we do that. They've involved so many people in the decision making, and so it's been really effective. And then their professional development days. And honestly, and I know the educators in the room would agree with me, they provided personalized learning experiences for teachers. It wasn't just a blanket, here you come, take part. It was really specified and specific to what certain teachers need. They could pick the different opportunities that fit what they needed. The elementary sessions were, teachers were actually in tears after the session because they felt so supported and motivated to go out and be the best they can be. And isn't that what we want from a leader, is to go out and inspire others to do their best. So that team rocked it. Now, sometimes it's not glamorous, nor is the photoshopping, but anyway, you get a drift. You'd think by the looks of them, it's all this really professional, activities, it's all academic, but no, they hauled and delivered over 800 roses and kept them alive. That's a pretty good feat. They unpack boxes and boxes of textbook materials. They transport all kinds of things. You'll see them with their car. Boy, and they have it down to the science. Like, I'll go to help. I went to help and it was done, and I'm like, okay. So, but delivering and just so many things. I mean, if you really watch them on a day-to-day basis, for one thing, you'd be tired. And the other thing, you'd be super impressed. Like I said, we had a flood of compliments and commendations and accolades that came in. I'm going to ask Cammie to read one. You want the mic, Cam?
So I'm going to read that top left-hand, the first paragraph, and then I'm going to skip over to the other short one. I echo what Lori has said tonight. These people are a big deal. And our teachers have been, and our principals are so incredibly grateful with the way that they work together and work with all of our departments to bring the best to teachers. So on the top left corner it says, the teachers have benefited and felt supported from the many PD opportunities that have been they have been able to take the items shared and easily incorporate them into their daily routine. So it's user-friendly stuff. It's not that pedagogy that you have to figure out how does this fit into my classroom. They are ready to go the next day. I love this one also. They have personalized professional development training for the teachers to make them feel important and that each teacher makes a difference. And that was so evident this year during our PD training. So thank you all. And Pam, kudos to you, because she has to keep them all on track. And you are an amazing, kind, generous part of this department, so thank you.
Right. And Art, I'll let you go next. This is Art's our secondary director. And Tammy, you know, is elementary, so.
Well, I just want to say before I read one of the quotes from one of our secondary principals, just these are the best of the best. They were chosen to their positions because they were fantastic teachers. Fantastic teachers in the classroom, and then they have that street cred. They can now go into the schools, and our principals trust them completely, and our teachers trust them completely that their expertise they want to hear, because I mean they all have a proven track record of just being the best and innovative, and it's great to have you as a resource. And they are truly servant leaders. So much that they do, I'm not even aware that the principals call them up, but they feel so comfortable saying, hey, I need some science help, I need some math help, I need some language arts help. And they're willing to just jump in and go to the school and meet with them. And it's summarized very well by this principal who said, the curriculum department has not only given support and direction regarding the needs, gaps, and current best practices for all Weber School District schools, they are also responsive to me and my staff. I have reached out to them for support on many occasions, as have many of my teachers. They have taken the time to provide and break down data, work through ideas for individualized professional development, create unique learning experiences for teachers and students, and have even helped with evening parent meetings on several occasions. Their willingness to support, research, coach, encourage, and build excitement has been an invaluable resource for me personally and for all of us in Weber School District. So I think that summarizes it very well.
Thank you, Art. This is from the tech department, and I appreciate that they were willing to put this together, but I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we are moving to a one-to-one device district, right? And the importance of having the curriculum department involved in that. So we're not just using technology for the sake of using technology, but we're making it meaningful. And so this group of people have really worked together and collaborated deeply with the tech department to make that really benefit students. So we thank them for that. I was able to visit with them, and I know them, and you can just feel the passion from their team. When I asked them what they loved most about their job, these were some of the statements. They absolutely love working with all the people. And that resonated. That was something that they all wanted us to know. They love seeing the success that they the work that they do. They see that success trickle down to the students, and they absolutely love that. They love feeling like that, making that difference in students' lives, because that's what we're all about, is student learning, and they have definitely impacted that. They love that they're building the capacity in our teachers. And I honestly feel like our teachers are in the best hands with this department. And they love that they still get to interact with students, right? They get out there and they're on their boots on the ground in their classrooms working with students. But I think one of the things they're most proud of is that they love how they've become that true support for teachers and administrators. And that speaks loudly. You know of the teachers' strife, and these guys have just helped that. So join me in congratulating. One other thing I wanted to just say really quick is Pam is the rock. Every team has that foundation. I know Pam works with me, And bless her heart, she puts up with me. She's helping me learn, and I just wanted to take a minute and thank Pam. So join me in congratulating the whole team. And I'm going to let them introduce who they brought with them, and then we'll snap a picture.
Thank you so much for everyone who participated in the presentation, and we're really honored for this. We have the best job in the district, and I feel really fortunate to have the team. It's an amazing group of educators. And I brought my wonderful husband tonight, Mitch, and my amazing daughter, Kayla.
I brought my wonderful husband, Eric, and that's all.
And I have my husband, Brett. I appreciate his support. It's been kind of tricky starting this new position, and he's been very helpful, so I appreciate that. And thank you again to everyone who said such nice comments. We really appreciate it. This really is an amazing team. We've had a lot of changes and gone through a lot, and I really appreciate all of you too. I brought my whole crew with me. So this is the team that helps me hang up hearts at elementary schools at 8 p.m. at night to get ready for professional development sessions. So I have my dad, Keith Marsh, and my sister, Kimberly Hansen. And then she's holding my cute little 2-year-old son, Bo. And next to him is my 3-year-old daughter, Gracie. They are my happiness, my house. And then my 8-year-old daughter, Liv, is next. And my wonderful aunt, Lynette Atkinson. And my oldest son, Kale. My younger son, Tice. And then my husband, Brock. So we got the whole row covered.
Jennifer took all my seats, so my family doesn't even make it. My wife wasn't able to make it tonight, but she's here in spirit with us, and grateful for her support. And thanks to everyone who I feel like I rode the coattails of this great team. I've only been here since July, and they're doing great work, and I'm just trying to keep up.
My husband Brock is here, and then my mom, Carol Taylor. And I love working with all these guys, so they're fun.
Hey Sherry, do you want the walker in your picture? I'll hold the balloons up a little higher.
Maybe one without.
Okay.
You gotta show off the hardware.
I'm kind of expecting to see her. On Wednesday night. I don't. Come in your way. I do.
Congratulations to the curriculum department. And our next one's going to be an Extra Mile Award by Scott Zelmer, please.
Thank you, Superintendent Stevens, President Ritchie, Board. It is my great pleasure
to introduce the HVAC team from Weaver School District and nominate them to you for the Extra Mile Award. These guys are as good as it gets. Guys, why don't you come on up and join me while we get started? And we'll go ahead. And by the way, aren't they beautiful? They do, and you have the ability to move it 3 degrees up and down. That's it. Or does it just 4? Well, you guys are lucky. We'll take all 4 down. All right. Okay. First of all, I just want to introduce them. And so Blake Housley is our foreman, and by the way, Cody Barnes is the supervisor of our maintenance department. He is doing an amazing job, and he has hired guys that just do stuff you can't believe. And one of the things I want to say about Blake is our foremen get their hands dirty every day, and this isn't the guy who sits behind a desk. He'd get food in his beard if he did, but he's out there working all the time, and it's great. And such a you see this and it looks like a lot of guys, and you think this is the HVAC department for a district of 33,000 students and 50 plus buildings, and it's yeoman's work that they do. Jeff Wayman is our energy manager. And he's the guy that, when all those phone calls come in, make sure that you can move it up 4 degrees. And when something's wrong, tonight when I got a phone call at 4:30 from Hooper Elementary School about, hey, our heaters turned off and we have parent-teacher conference. I call Blake, who calls Jeff, who calls me, says it's fixed, and just like that, things get done. And so we're just grateful for the way. Dustin Hess is our lead worker, and he's right there. We're just all these guys: Troy, Matt, Kelly, Jake, and Ryan, our department. They just are in it all the time, and they're up to their, she said boots on the ground. These literally are boots on the ground. So just since the beginning of the fiscal year, we went and did some numbers. Over 1,000 work orders have been completed by these 8 guys when it comes to HVAC. Some of those are changing temperatures. Some of those are gigantic things like Weaver High job. Okay, Weaver High is in the middle of a multi-year project. Spent about $750,000 last year working on some ducting and some rooftop units. Can you hear me okay? Because I really have too many things in my hands. So if I don't get this up here, sorry. This year, $1.2 million, and that was to replace some boilers and some cooling towers. There's more to come. There's still a lot more that needs to be done up there. But they've done just a great job. And this, by the way, is where their nomination came from. Darlene and Chris at Weaver High sent us a letter nominating them to the foundation and to Lane, and we just appreciate these guys work so hard behind the scenes, and it's awesome that the schools take the time to recognize them, and so we want to make sure that was brought up. Their job, I don't know if these are kind of dark pictures, but the one on the very left, it looks like I haven't quite figured out what it looks like. What it actually is the boiler at Roy Junior High School. And it's reminded me of something, and I can't remember quite what it is, but maybe it'll come to me in a minute. That's the old boiler. These three other pictures around it are what's going into Remuda Elementary School. Okay, very high tech, kind of like that one in the middle. And I got to tell you, it seems like rocket science, some of the stuff that they do. And so, maybe that's it. Is it SpongeBob? It looks like SpongeBob, doesn't it? Okay, so they speak their own language. VAV, BTU, VFD, RTU, VV, LMNOP. I don't know. They're always talking in acronyms. I don't quite understand what they're saying, but they just they put up with me. I sit in meetings and they say stuff, and I say, what? And they explain it to me. They go real slow and they use pictures, and that's helpful. So, winter is a rough time for these guys. And I actually snuck into Blake's office the other day when things were pretty hectic, and this is the video. We lost the video? Give me the video. This is what we saw. Can you make it work? So that's what happens when it gets really cold around this district. I was going to say who that was, but I thought I'd better not. I don't know. Anyway, it looked like one of the guys. I can't remember which one. So we're going to go back. So I wondered if I can make this thing back. There we go. I just want to read you a couple things that came out of the Weaver High letter. My eyes are bad, so I'm going to get over closer to read it because it's little. Of the many characteristics seen in the functioning team, this group stands out to us for their professionalism and their ability to communicate effectively. By the way, just sidebar, in the middle of this project that didn't quite get done before school started, and we had kids in there and they were working their guts out to get things going, and then we had a student hit the ground. And we had an evacuation, and we had all kinds of things going on, and these guys were right in the middle of taking care of things. You know, the fire department comes in and they put on their hazmat suits and their helmets, and they got their backpacks on. They're walking in ready for and these guys are walking out dressed just like that. So it worked out just fine. They got it all taken care of. But that's the kind of work that they do. They're just in the middle of it all the time, and they are extremely professional. The HVAC team trained our school custodians on the care and super service of the new system to include identifying the placement and maintenance of every fan, filter, pump at Weber High School. How many is that? A lot. Like lots and lots. If you walk into Weber High School, if you walk up that ramp, and there's all those boxes on top, I think that's 3 months worth of filters. Or 3 years if they haven't put them in, I can't remember. But it's a lot of filters. Blake and his crew go the extra mile as they quickly respond to any issue we're having. Inform school staff when they are working in our building, explain the type of issues we may have, and how they will be addressing them, and as always, carrying themselves in a professional manner. We appreciate the time and effort that they take to ensure our building is safe, comfortable, and running efficiently. Weber, I thank you so much for saying that, because that's what they do every day. And I wish I could have all of our maintenance crew up here, and maybe one of these days we will get them all up here. But on behalf of Weber School District and the maintenance department, Weber High School, and all the other schools, thank you, gentlemen, for the work that you do. Blake, I'm going to hand over to you. You can introduce your guys and the folks that came with you, and then we'll take a picture.
Alrighty, I got Ryan Henry over here, my right-hand man Jake, who's been with me for a long time. Got Dustin Hess, he does a lot of our kitchen equipment and single-handedly keeps all of our kitchens and cooks very happy, which I don't know how, but he does it. Kelly Hesse, he's over here on the end. Jeff Waymont, he's been with me from the start too. He's been in the district a long time and been a lot of help. I'm glad that he's with me. And Matt Long, he's one of our newer control guys as well. And I just want to say I'm proud of you guys. You guys work your tail off, and you go above and beyond. You truly do. You make me look really great, which makes Scott look really great, and so that works out for everybody. But no, these guys, they don't complain. They don't. They had a work order the other day at Bonneville. That was a bad one. It was in the tunnel. It was in the crawl space. It was a little confined space, and I stick my head in there, and there's 3 or 4 of them just chopping and going to town. And we had 75, 80 hours on one work order, and not one complaint. They go in the tunnels, they go underneath the schools, they climb through spider webs, and I'm proud of them, man. It's my honor to work with you guys, so thank you. My wife's home taking care of sick kids, so she couldn't make it.
I brought my wife, Lindsay. She's awesome. Thanks.
Raise your hand.
I brought Blake.
My wife couldn't make it tonight. She had work.
I brought my beautiful wife, Leah, and my soon-to-be baby boy.
I brought my beautiful and awesome wife, Karen, in the green jacket.
I brought my beautiful wife, Casey.
And just one more thing, by the way. By raise of hands, how many of you were out plowing snow last night? None of you? Really?
Last night.
How about tonight or the next time? How many of you plow snow regularly? Yeah. So that happens when we have bad snowstorms. Not only doing all this, they're out keeping the rest of it safe. So thank you, gentlemen, for all you do. Can we have the Weber High folks come up for the picture too? You need to come on, Chris, Donnie, come up here. You deserve to be here for this.
Are you sure we're the ones that have you on speaker?
That's okay.
Come forward. Come forward a little bit and just squeeze it.
You want to borrow Sherry's wheels?
And really, aren't they beautiful?
Nice job, I like
Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, I just wanted to say that, you know, for 45 minutes today, I had an HVAC tech in my office expressing his frustrations about everything that was going on at our facility. And if people haven't been involved in your world, they don't understand, do they? It's a lot of hard work, highly technical. The new systems coming out these days, you've got to be a computer programmer, you've got to be an electrician, you've got to be a plumber, and you've got to think. So I applaud you guys. It's hard work and great job.
You know what I got to tell you? We got the best, don't we? Between curriculum, teachers, staff, superintendent, and HVAC guys, right? We got the best at Weaver School District. Thank you. And you guys are more than welcome to file out unless you want to stay for the rest of our important meeting. I'll give you just a second if you'd like. Thank you again. Be careful out there. Our next will be a presentation on multi-tiered systems of support, positive behavior interventions, and support. Stacy Roundtree and Heather Shepard, please.
Good evening. Stacy and I are excited to be here tonight to talk to you a little bit about what we do. We are both behavior coaches in the district and kind of have two kind of separate but same roles a little bit. So we're just going to kind of share that with you and talk you through that a little bit. So what is MTSS, or Multi-Tiered System of Support? And really it's just a framework to maximize achievement, reduce behavior problems, and increase long-term success. You can see I've got a lovely green triangle or pyramid on the screen up there. And when we talk about a multi-tiered system of support, this is a framework or a system that we can put in place to support students academically and behaviorally. This is how we want to support and teach the acquisition of different skills. But my green pyramid here represents or signifies the universal supports that we put in place for all students. And when this is done well, 80 to 90% of our students should be successful. And so I like to teach, when I explain this and teach this to school teams, that I talk about that all your students in your building should have access to these green supports. So we put a coat of green paint over every single student in your building. But then you're going to have about 10 to 15% of your population that still needs a little extra support. And so we put a yellow coat of paint on top of them. So they still have green, but now we're building and give them a little extra support with some yellow. And then about 1 to 8% of your population still might need a few more intensive supports in place, and so we're going to give them a little bit of red paint on top of their green and yellow. And we are building to create layers or levels of support for our students. And what I love about a multi-tiered system of support is that it's very proactive. It's proactive and preventative. So we're not waiting for problems to occur or misbehaviors to happen. We're going to be preventative and proactive in how we're teaching and supporting our students. And so we have this other acronym, PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. And I really consider myself a PBIS coach. This is what I do and what I kind of love. I'm a little bit passionate about PBIS. And so what this is, it's not a curriculum or a program, but it is a framework or a structure that I take school teams through and teach them how to implement this type of system in their buildings. And great things about it is that it utilizes information for problem solving. So we really rely on data to make decisions. And that's something that I really stress with my school teams. And again, like I said, we're focusing on prevention and teaching pro-social behaviors. A positive behavior system is all about teaching. We don't assume that students know how to behave when they come to school. We assume that we're going to have to teach them and support them in that. So you can see in the graphic there that I have the 4 pillars of PBIS. And so this is what I teach my school teams to do. That we're going to establish expectations in all areas for all students and staff. They're going to explicitly teach those expectations in all areas to all students and staff. They're going to reinforce their expectations for all students and staff, and then correct behavioral errors as needed for students and staff. And the correction part I really stress really is the teaching and reteaching of our students. And so again, I say, I don't tell them exactly what this is going to look like in their buildings. They can decide what their school rules are going to be, and they're going to decide how they're going to teach it, and they're going to decide how they're going to reinforce it and how they're going to correct those behavioral errors. But I give them this structure or framework to work from. So this is what this currently kind of looks like in Weber School District. I have 18 elementary schools that I have trained and I'm working with, and so 6 of those are in their 3rd year working with me. I have 5 that are in their 2nd year with me, and then I trained 7 first-year schools this year, and then we also this year started implementing PBIS supports in 6 of our junior highs. They came and did training with me as well. What's great is that my 3rd-year schools have a lot of all of my schools have great things going on, but my 3rd-year schools really are highly functioning in this area of Tier 1 supports in their buildings, and so I've been able to take them through some training for some Tier 2 interventions school-wide, which has been really fun to start doing that. And our 2nd-year schools are getting ready to maybe move into that for next year. My 1st-year schools, it takes about 2 years to kind of really solidly get our Tier 1 supports in place, and so my 1st-year schools are working on that, and I suspect by the end of next year they're going to be looking great. So here are some of our successes from our multi-tiered systems of supports in our district. At the end of the school year, I go in and just do a little assessment with my schools, and I just kind of ask students and staff, do you know what your school rules are? And staff, have you taught those rules? And students, have you been reinforced for following school rules? And we look at the school team. Every school should have a team that is meeting monthly to problem solve about behavior in the school building and kind of determine what to do. And so as I've gone through and done these assessments at the end of the year, what I'm finding across the board in our schools is that behavior expectations are being taught to students and staff are delivering rewards other than praise. So we're teaching and reinforcing. That's great. We do have school-wide teams that are meeting at least monthly, so they are meeting and talking about what they're doing and what their needs are. And I love that I've seen a significant increase in the use of data for decision-making. And that's great. That's awesome. That's something that I've really been pushing for, and they're doing a great job with that. Just a few examples that I can share with you about some of the great things that we're doing. I have one of my elementary schools. Speaking of using data, I asked them to collect data on behavioral infractions happening in their schools, such as the office discipline referrals that are coming their way. So I want them to look at where they're coming from, what area of the school, and how many are coming in. And so I have an elementary school who used that data to kind of pinpoint that recess really was a hard time. And they started implementing a structured recess program where they were really teaching appropriate recess skills and structured how they had play on the playground to help their students to be more successful, and they've seen a lot of success with that. I have another elementary school who is using their data and information on their reinforcement system to make some changes. I also ask my teams to collect data on how they're giving out their positive reinforcement. So where are they giving it out, in what areas of the building are they giving out those reinforcers, and how that's helping their students. And so I have an elementary who they give out like school bucks to the students, and students can use those bucks to buy access to some fun school-wide activities. But the school found out, or looked at their data and determined that the 6th graders were not spending their money on these school activities, and so they thought, well, maybe this isn't being successful for our 6th grade students. So they went and polled the students and determined that really they just wanted food. So they got the food that they could then use the bucks that they were earning to buy food. And then my last example, I really like this one. This is one of my new junior highs this year, that when their building coordinator from their school shared with me that they've determined that hallways are a problem area. And so the administration had asked that teachers and staff be either in the hallways or in their doorways to be reinforcing students for appropriate hallway behavior between classes, handing out some type of positive reinforcement ticket. And then he said, but we also have our administrator is also out in the hall, not only reinforcing students, but is reinforcing and handing out tickets to the staff, teachers and staff, who are doing what they are being asked to do. So we're also reinforcing our staff that way, which I thought was a great example. Okay, then I am the behavior coordinator and have 5 aides underneath me, and we push into the elementary schools. So Heather and I work together. So my behavior aides, their duties are to go into a regular ed classroom, and they assist the teacher in providing instructional and behavioral support to any behaviorally challenged student in their classroom, and it's the regular ed classroom. They monitor and redirect student progress regarding behavior and their performance. So they're taking data and tracking what's going on and implementing trackers for positive rewards for the teacher, and just helping the teacher train the teacher and the student at the same time. They're building relationships with the student, the teacher, and all staff in the school, because they're seen throughout the school. The process to get help, the teachers and principals fill out, there's a student support checklist that special ed and elementary got together. Actually, Heather and I started the process, and then we all kind of collaborated together. There's a student checklist, and then there's a teacher reflection form that they fill out. That teacher reflection form asks them, what have you done to build a relationship with the student? Where does the behavior happen? How often does it happen? What kind of interventions have you already implemented? So they fill that document out, and then they email either Heather or I. And then Heather and I communicate together to decide what's the best support. If they're a special ed student, is it best for me to come into the classroom with one of my aides, or is it better just to have a special ed aide go in there? When my aides go into a classroom, the goal is 4 to 6 weeks-ish, just depends on the student. The first week or two, they're just in the classroom, observing and then implementing the tracker and working one-on-one with the student, while the teacher's focusing on just keeping the class going, watching the strategies that we're implementing so that she can pick it up when we leave the classroom. And then after generally about week 2, we start transitioning it back over to the teacher. So working side by side with the teacher and the student, showing her how she can still teach fluently and not have to pause, because that's the hardest thing. Still give the rewards and help the student and build that relationship with the student. And then by week 4, hopefully it's just all the teacher managing the class, my aides just kind of in the back to be there in case something isn't going right, and can take over and kind of help direct the teacher on what she should do. And then by 5 or 6, we're completely out of the classroom, still in the building in case something happens, and to support the teacher. And then at that point, either we've fixed the student and we're good to go, or sometimes the data shows that maybe that's not the best academic setting, and then we go from there. So the school level supports on this document is what Heather talked about with the MTSS and the PBIS, with the multi-level supports. So Heather and I work together with that, because I take that school level support with the MTSS, which is more school-wide, and bring that into the classroom at a classroom level. So when we go into the classroom, we help teachers identify their expectations and are they teaching their classroom rules. And they have to have their own set of classroom rules that can tie into their school rules. So the school rules don't necessarily work in the regular classroom. They need to kind of tear those down. So help them learn their rules, make sure that their classroom management decisions are based on their classroom behavior data. So are they taking that behavior data, and what does it look like that we can tweak their classroom management to help the kids, all the kids, be successful.
What else is there? And we make sure the curriculum is matched to the student need, which supports the data. A lot of times just adapting the academics in the classroom, that they're not doing 100% academics right now while we're focusing on behavior for student success. Sometimes they don't need to do 10 math problems. We know that they can do it in 3 problems. So helping a teacher understand that right now we're not going to focus 100% on academics. We're going to help teach the student how to be in the classroom and then slowly add in the academics. These are the principles that I kind of use as a guide for my behavior aids in the classroom. So obviously you want them to be professional. When they're in the classroom, they're supportive, they're objective, they stay neutral, and they're unbiased. So sometimes when we get called in, teachers are really frustrated and they just kind of keep the positive and kind of stay neutral in that. They're considerate of the individual's learning history and their experiences. So they get to know the student, which helps build that relationship. What's their family, peer group, what do they like to do, what are their interests. And then we use Informed, we use that data-based response to intervention. So my aides are taking data. We're constantly looking at that to see, do we need to increase our OTRs, opportunities to respond? What's the engagement look like in the classroom? How many positive to correctives does the teacher have? So that should be a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 positives to 1 corrective of a student in the classroom. And then we just help, what's the quality of the instruction, help them consider that, make it more engaging, and then make sure the environment's arranged to encourage previously taught social skills and discourage any anticipated behavior, which all goes hand in hand with the MTSS. This is a guideline right off of PBIS that we kind of use. So we look at the foundations, that first column. So that's your tier 1 classroom management. What's the physical layout of the classroom? What are some routines? Are they developed and taught daily in the classroom or weekly? We don't just teach our expectations at the beginning of the year, but fluently throughout the year. Then we move into the practices. So the preventative and the response goes hand in hand with MTSS. So we're monitoring and moving and interacting with the students in the classroom. We're giving them plenty of opportunities. Here's the opportunities to respond, acknowledging them with positive praise. If we do have to respond to a behavior, we're making sure that it's brief and contingent to the behavior and not punishing a student for making a mistake. And then the data system, that third column, all 3 of these go together. So just really making sure we're tracking what we're doing in the classroom, what the teacher's doing, and what's the best implementation strategies we can give to the students to be successful. So successes for this year so far, for the school year. So we've completed working in 11 classrooms. And remember, I have 5 aides, so if they're in there for 4 to 6 weeks, the numbers are small, but 4 to 6 weeks is quite a while. So we've completed working in 11 classrooms. Of those 11 students, only 1 student was moved to a tier 2 classroom, and 1 was referred for special ed services for academic, not behavior. So the bulk of those kids, we went in, helped the teacher be successful, implemented some behavioral strategies, and turned them around. We're observing in 8 classrooms, and that, when we say we're observing, it's just a check-in to make sure that the strategies that we've implemented are still working and the teacher's still feeling supported, and if there's any little tweaks that need to be made, just checking in on them. Right now we're actively working in 10 classrooms, and that can be, as we're pulling out of 1, if the school has 2 schools, we're kind of working 2 classrooms at the same time. And then schools waiting for assistance, I have 5 schools on hold right now because my aides are all placed. And I think this is the first year that we're on track with what we're doing and keeping the aides in the classroom for 4 to 6 weeks. Teachers are feeling more supported, and we're having a lot more success with the students instead of popping in for a couple days, kind of putting a Band-Aid on it, going to another one, and then coming back. So that's it.
Or just maybe a follow-up. This has been so vital. I'd say, especially beginning about 3 or 4 years ago, we were just having a growing number of serious behavioral challenges in our schools. And when I say that, I'm not talking about someone speaking out of turn. Serious behavioral challenges that was making learning difficult to occur in that classroom setting. And I appreciate the support of the board as we've begun to add some additional support. And really it starts with Stacy and Heather and their leadership. They have built this model from the ground up. We tried a couple of things and revised and so forth, but this has been such a success, especially the model that they're working with and that they've described to you tonight. From time to time, you may hear a constituent talk about a student who is unruly seriously, and I want you to understand that we've got now a process in place to help support our teachers, and it's hard work. And I just want to commend Stacy and Heather, their aides. It's also been a tremendous collaboration with special ed, elementary, secondary ed, student services. Everybody has worked together to provide this additional layer of support for our teachers so that those extremely disruptive behaviors can be not just minimized, but you're working with children to kind of change their behavior altogether. It's a lifestyle thing in many ways for them, but this has been a very significant thing for us.
Thank you, Superintendent Ford. Does anybody have any thoughts or words or suggestions for Stacy or Heather?
I was able to watch that in action for the last 4 years probably, and just want to commend the collaborative effort that they've made with all of those departments. They truly have put together a system that makes it easy to follow and makes it possible to give kids the help they need.
Thank you, Jan. Go ahead, Janice.
I just would like to also say thank you and commend you. I can think, and probably everyone on this board can think, of adults who along the way missed out and are suffering without some preparatory, controlling, educating effort like this. And so thank you. You are saving lives, literally.
Thank you, Janice. Anybody else? If not, I did invite them to a soup and salad over the next 4 weeks and see if maybe they could help the board a little bit. Oh, yeah. Diet Coke. Thank you so much for what you do. You are making a difference. I see all the nods in the audience from our directors and teachers, and thank you for what you're doing. It's valuable. We have action items, board. We need the approval of a revised policy 4370 on graduation requirements for a first reading. Jennifer Warren, please.
Superintendent and board, this is the first reading for proposed revisions to board policy 4370, the graduation requirements. The revisions that are proposed are to be in compliance with the amendments made by the Utah State Board of Education to their administrative rule for secondary school completion and diplomas. The revision rule allows for a school district to award a diploma, an alternate diploma, to a student with a significant cognitive disability. So the policy with the proposed revision states, it's 8.4 in the 4300, alternate high school diploma for students with cognitive significant disabilities. An alternate high school diploma may be awarded to a student who has the following: A, a significant cognitive disability as defined by R277-705-2, B, access grade level core standards through the essential elements, C, completed all academic requirements established by the Utah State Board of Education and Utah Administrative Code R277-705-5, or substitutions for graduation in the same content area from a list of alternative courses approved by the Utah State Board of Education in R277-705 section 1B. These substitutions must be made by the student's IEP team. D, met all the attendance credit requirements, and E, met all graduation requirements prior to exiting school at or before age 22.
This is a first reading, so no action on this, right, Jennifer? You're
Right,
gonna be
yes,
open-
it's a
You'll be
first
open
reading.
for a month, and we'll see you next. Board, do you have any discussion or thoughts on the proposed revisions of 4370? Seeing none, we'll look forward to the next. This is an action item. So I'd entertain a motion to accept the first reading on the revision. Paul? Motion by Paul. Second by Jan. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We will now see you next month. Thank you. Appointment of financial advisor, Dr. Robert Peterson, please.
Thanks, President. It's my pleasure to explain to you that 4 years ago, we had a formal bid for a financial advisor, and this individual helps us with our bonds, helps us with our fund bonds, our bond ratings, those kinds of things. Also, they're invaluable when they provide data and help us with bond elections. And 4 years ago, George K. Baum was awarded the bid, and they re-earned it because they had been our financial advisor before that time. And as per board policy, we review the financial advisor status, and we don't have to go to bid, but we do have to review. And it's our recommendation, superintendent, and mind that we renew George K. Baum for another 4 years. Now, keep in mind that this doesn't mean we can't go out to bid. It's just make sure that we stay on schedule and that we give competitors a fair shot. George K. Baum has been outstanding. Preston Kirk is here with us, and he's awesome. He just is. And Matt Dugdale also helps. He came by earlier this afternoon. He was very chagrined because he thought, he had to coach the Blue girls basketball team. And I said, you go coach the basketball team. And so, but Preston is great. They've saved us money. They've helped us win elections. And we look forward to being part of, have been part of our team for the next 4 years. Anything to say, Preston? Thanks. And so it's my recommendation that we make a motion and approve a motion to leave our contract in 4 years.
Board, you've heard Dr. Peterson's suggestion on George K. Baum for Weaver School District's financial advisor. I'd entertain a motion. Doug, second by Dean. Any discussion? I want to echo exactly what Robert said.
I would like to echo that also. I've worked with Preston and George K. Baum for quite a few years as I've sat on the board. I really do appreciate the hard work that they do. They've been excellent. They've saved us a lot of money, and I really do appreciate all your hard work.
I echo that. It's very nice to work with a company, with a group of people. It's not even a company that's so personal as you are, that advises us continually and saves us millions of dollars that they could be making money on. And it reflects back to our students, our constituents, our district, and thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's an honor to have you as our representative. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We've got you. Thank you very much. Board, we have need for a closed session. This meeting is a strategy session to discuss character, professional competency, or physical or mental health of an individual. To roll call vote, Dr. Peterson, please.
Just answer aye or nay to go to a closed session. Jan Burrell.
Aye.
Bruce Jardine. Aye. Paul Whittison. Aye. Janice Christensen. Douglas Hurst. Aye. Dean O'Gorn. Aye. And John Ritchie.
Aye.
Unanimous, President.
Thank you. Have a good night. Be safe out there. Preston, be safe going to the school.
See you later.